Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Normally this is Throwback Thursday on our channel where we do a little bit of movie news and then give you a throwback movie that kind of relates. But today we have to talk about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So let's jump right into it. So we're going to keep this review non-spoiler, of course, as much as humanly possible. But we have to talk about this movie because this movie wasn't what I expected it to be at all. The first couple of trailers of the movie I was excited for. I thought this looked like a cool villain and I thought it would be something that they could pull off very nice. But I also expected it to be more of a homage, if you will, to maybe the Ghostbusters 2 that we gotten before. I expected it to actually sort of pay tribute to that a lot more than it did, and it really didn't. And that is not a bad thing at all. The movie does a really good job of setting up a mythology around the villain. And we even start off the movie with a bit of a flashback, and we've never seen that in a live-action Ghostbusters movie, and I think that's very cool. Kind of starting off with this flashback is something that could be a good thing going forward for any Ghostbusters movie. My one complaint about the flashback that they do is it is very brief. It's very brief. It gives us just enough to maybe be terrified. And then by the time you get the explanation in the movie, you're shown the explanation in what they think is a unique way, but I would have rather have seen it in another flashback. Because another flashback with this villain would have been cool. Now, my other complaint about this movie is that they have Walter Peck as the mayor, which you saw in the trailer. So that's not a spoiler. And he doesn't get the airtime that he deserves either. He's kind of a running gag throughout the movie, as he was in the movie he was in before with the Ghostbusters, so it's not a big surprise. However, just seeing him elevated to being a mayor and still kind of the laughing stock doesn't really do the actor justice. However, the actor does a great job with it. So I guess, you have to overlook that. I just would have rather have seen it play out a little bit different than it did. Not him just be a two-dimensional villain among the other things going on. Now, Emily Alan Lind has a part in this movie, and I want to tell you all about that part, but I really can't tell you a whole lot about it. Just know she is actually the sister of the girl that plays in Chucky. So, seeing her in this movie was a surprise. That whole family is really talented. And her character kind of just provides some of the moments that people are going to be talking about. They're going to have all these theories and all these ideas as to why this character exists and kind of saying things about how silly it is or this or that. But this character actually works within the plot of the movie and is a welcome addition. We also see a couple other welcome additions to the movie, some in smaller parts, and then one has a really big part that's important to the plot and the history of our villain. And they may come back for another movie. And that's okay if they do that. I think that that would be a lot of fun too. I enjoyed everybody in this movie. Some of them I think have more of a chance, of course, of coming back to be in another Ghostbusters movie than others. This movie does everything it sets out to do, but it starts off a bit slow. I do have to be honest, the movie starts off a bit slow. Once it starts to develop, once it starts to get into it, though, you stop caring about some of the moments that you may have thought were starting off to be a little bit silly, because you do have to have that silliness. In a Ghostbusters movie, you have to have these moments where, yes, it could be a bit silly. You have to have these moments that don't take themselves so seriously, because Ghostbusters is, at its heart, a comedy. This movie plays a lot more like the cartoon. I feel like this is real Ghostbusters, the movie, or maybe more so going into extreme Ghostbusters. You do have the older heroes passing the torch, if you will, to the younger characters, even still. And we thought that was done after Afterlife. We thought that we wouldn't get to see as much of the old cast. But oh no, they're back with a vengeance. The old cast takes up a majority of this movie, and it's not bad. But it's not taken away from any screen time that the younger cast gets. The younger cast gets exactly as much airtime as the older cast gets. And that was something that really helped to make this film work. Because you have the older generation of fans that really want to see the older generation of Ghostbusters. And you have the newer generation that emerged during Afterlife that they're going to want to see their favorites on screen. And I think this movie did a great job of blending the two together. That mythology that they create around this bad guy also plays a major part of the movie. However, I could have done with seeing him a lot more. In all honesty, he is a great villain, and we don't get enough airtime with him. Now, the typical plot line of Ghostbusters, of course, is that the villain wants to raise an army of ghosts. And yes, that is the same here. The villain wants to raise an army of ghosts that is going to take over, that's going to destroy humanity. And that is the plot here. But short of that, the villain feels original. The villain feels different. It breaks and defies some rules in ways that get the Ghostbusters having to think about new possibilities of doing things. So overall, Egon Spengler's granddaughter, Phoebe, does take precedence in that regard. She is the one that comes up with a lot of the ideas that they're doing. She is the one that the story follows her a lot. Her brother Trevor also gets a lot to do, but it doesn't just follow Phoebe. No, the events that everybody in this movie has helps to make things happen. It's all part of the plot in a very good way, and it intertwines in a fun way. And I think that's key, because it would have been very easy for them to just make it where her actions are the sole reason that things happen, and they're not. Her actions, among other things, help to make things happen in this movie, but ultimately it rests on the hands of every single character. Every single character has their part to play in this movie, and their parts that they play in the movie are important. So I really do think that this movie works and does what it sets out to do. This movie has the possibility to spawn a lot of sequels that may take the younger generation of Ghostbusters farther. And if they continue to use the older generation of Ghostbusters as well, then you're not going to get a lot of really angry fans. Now, there are going to be some people that think that some of this movie is really dumb, and they're going to have whatever reasons they have. But overall, I think the movie was truly enjoyable. The villain works. In the end, the villain works. And in the end, everything you thought was silly going into it sort of starts to work as well. The acting is really great. I enjoyed everybody in this movie. Even the people I initially didn't think I was going to enjoy their character, I already knew I was going to enjoy the actor, because it has a solid cast of amazing actors that we can enjoy. Just sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes the character is just this horrible character, and I don't feel that this necessarily suffers from that. It has its moments where that happens, but overall, everything about this movie by the end actually works. So I give this movie 4 stars, and I highly recommend you check it out. Don't go in thinking that it's going to be the original Ghostbusters, because nothing's going to live up to that. And in terms of Afterlife, Afterlife was such an excellent reboot. Nothing's going to live up to that either. And it doesn't have to. Go in looking at this movie for what it is, a fun time. I give it 4 stars and highly recommend you check it out. As always, we want to know what you guys think. Make sure you leave us a comment in the comment box below. Make sure you share this video with all of your friends. They're going to want to be part of the conversation as well. Make sure you hit that like button. It's free. It helps the channel, and we appreciate it. Miko says we need more subscribers, and you don't want to disappoint Miko, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there, go ahead and hit that notification bell, too, so you don't miss a single video we do. And friends, at the end of the day, I know it, you know it, and Miko knows it. Fandom is family.